Children of the world, parents of the world, this is for you. I'm Rowena.
And I'm April. We are best friends and moms to 5 young athletes and sisters to Olympic champions. We have a mission to inspire our kids
and your kids through the stories of champions.
Who am I? I am a champion. Who am I? I am a champion. Who am I? I am a champion.
You guys, we are so excited to have Nikita here today. Nikita Ducaro. She is a 25-year-old dual citizen, Swiss and American, freestyle BMX rider, although she represents Switzerland when it comes to BMX. She recently won the bronze medal at the Tokyo Olympics in BMX freestyle. She also has many other accolades under her belt, including the gold medalist at the Vans Pro Cup in 2020 and the 2021 silver medalist at the UCI Urban World Championships, and many more. She grew up in Glen Ellen, California, and has an amazing story on how she overcame severe anxiety to now traveling the world to compete in the sport she loves. Welcome, Nikita.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I would just love to actually go back and have you take us back to childhood. What was that like, and how did you even get involved into BMX in the first place?
Yeah, so it was kind of an accident. I didn't really know anybody that rode. I didn't really even know it was a sport. And I was going through a time, it was most of my childhood, but I started to have really bad anxiety and panic attacks. And at the time I was always very active. I was playing soccer, like pretty seriously on a travel team and stuff. So it got to a point where I wouldn't leave my house anymore and I had to quit playing soccer. So when I was not really going anywhere, stuck at my house, I spent a lot of time on YouTube. And I just happened to stumble on some videos, some like BMX videos. And I was thinking, all right, this is something I can do in my front yard, just like flat ground tricks and stuff. And yeah, I pretty much saved up for a bike and just started messing around in my driveway and then immediately fell in love with it.
That's kind of an epic story, from not wanting to leave your house to like finding something fun to do. And now you're an Olympic medalist. It's crazy.
Very crazy.
When did the dreams start sparking I guess there's more to the story. Like, how did you get out of your driveway?
Well, it was definitely thanks to my bike, because before then it was like I was literally terrified to go to the grocery store. Like, there was a point where the whole focus of the day was my mom would bring me to the grocery store just to like get me out and like practice like leaving the house. And it just like little by little, I was wanting to ride my bike so much that I wanted to go try it at the skate park, which was like 10, 15 minutes away. And so then that kind of became the big goal of the day. It was like, get to the skate park. And at this time I'd like stopped going to school. I was doing it like independent study. This was kind of like before online school was really a thing. And yeah, so it just literally like to this day is like, has been the same thing of just using my bike to like push through that fear. And, it went from using it to get to the skate park that was 10 minutes away to then going to Southern California a couple years later to go to a contest, and then eventually getting on a plane again. So yeah, I think just having like being so passionate about it, like allowed me to justify the fear that I would go through to get to where I needed to go to ride my bike.
Wow, that's amazing. So really it was the bike that got you out of that kind of crippling anxiety. Did you work with like a therapist as well, or it was just the bike to get out of the house?
No, I definitely, when I was younger, I worked with different people here and there that like my parents brought me to, and that like never really stuck too much. But I think also it's just like, I didn't really understand it myself. But then I would say when I was about maybe a little older, like 15 or 16, I started working with a sports psychologist that I had seen some other BMXer had made a YouTube video visiting him. And he was in Southern California. I lived in Northern California. And so I reached out to him with my mom, and I still work with him now. So he, like, at the time he was like a sports psychologist, but he ended up just being like an overall like life coach and stuff for me. And it's been like 9 years now, I think, that we've been working together. So that also was like it was like that and the bike that kind of was like making steps, like actually planning out like how I was going to go out and do things and setting goals and stuff to overcome that.
Yeah. It sounds like you did a lot on your own, but it's such a good message out there for anyone struggling. Like, you're not alone, get help. Your mom seems like a pretty amazing woman. Was she, to, I guess, be behind you all the way, but was she the one who was kind of driving this, like, hey, we need to find a sports psychologist, or was that you?
Well, that particular one I had just found myself, but just my whole life growing up, like, both my parents were super supportive. It was definitely like at the beginning, it was tough for them because when I was younger, it just kind of looked like I was acting out, like if I would refuse to go to school, when in reality I was like having a panic attack, but none of us knew that. And so it kind of took a lot of like time to kind of figure out what might be going on. And then just, yeah, I mean, it must have been super hard for them. Just, I couldn't even go to like a doctor's appointment. So they're like trying to get me help, but then getting me, like, I remember once going to the dentist, and the dentist had to come out into the parking lot because I wouldn't get out of the car. So I was definitely very lucky that they were just like along for the ride and doing whatever they could, even if like we didn't really understand it, to just kind of have my back.
Wow. What an incredible story. I'm sure that you are such an amazing role model and inspiration, because I'm sure there's so many people that are in your same shoes. So it's amazing that you have shared your story so openly, because I know that this is, going to help so many people. Is it something that you still deal with on a daily basis, or you kind of have pushed through that?
No, it's definitely still, it comes and goes. Like right before Olympics, I was like on a pretty good roll. I usually, my mom would always come to like every single competition with me, even up until now. And then I had finally, like right before Olympics, gone on a trip by myself. So I was like feeling good about myself, like, okay, maybe we're finally like breaking through this a little bit. And then right around Thanksgiving, just like everything went downhill. I hit like the biggest dip I had since like I was younger. And I was here like living in North Carolina by myself. And I all of a sudden, like, again, going to the grocery store would make me have a panic attack. So I had to like call my mom. She flew out for 5 weeks and just kind of helped me get back on track and stuff. But yeah, it's like, kind of just comes and goes. Sometimes it'll feel like it's not there, and then other times it'll come back. But I think it's definitely like a combination of like being older, understanding it more, and then also just like having worked with a sports psychologist and all kinds of different people that are like a part of my team has made it like easier-ish to handle when it does happen, because now A, I've experienced it already, and then B, now I'm like collecting all these different tools that I can like use when it does happen.
Man, this is getting me a little bit teared up. Can we just like have a moment to celebrate you for a second? I mean, just the fact that you left your house, and like aside from that, but you're an Olympic medalist now. I mean, for those of you who haven't watched an Olympics, let alone like seen what it happens when you become a medalist, or even you're competing at the Olympics, like I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, like how epic that must have been. Like it's hard for introverts, let alone like what you've dealt with your whole life. And the media, like, I mean, let's go to the Olympics actually and talk about that moment. And I don't know, paint a picture. We have a lot of listeners who are dreaming of being where you are. And we talk about visualization a lot. And I think any kind of detail you can give to help our listeners kind of imagine, like, what was it like? What was it like standing on that podium? What was it like competing? What came at you, you know?
It was pretty crazy, just obviously because of all that, as well as just seeing a sport like freestyle BMX in the Olympics, because that's, you know, any of us that started riding, that wasn't like the dream. There wasn't like, oh, one day I'll make it to the Olympics, because that it wasn't there. So it's definitely interesting when it like got announced and stuff, and kind of everything started to change. There started to be more rules and everything. And then obviously, like, we're gearing up for the Olympics and they get pushed a year. So there's so much like leading up to it. And then I don't know if it was that or what, but like, it's when I got there, it was like, it wasn't real, and it still doesn't feel like it actually happened. Like, it was just, it was a really cool experience. Like, just being there in the village with, you know, all these other athletes from all different sports. Like, usually with us, we're just at an event with just us and everyone knows each other. And here it was like every single country, every single sport you could imagine. The dining hall was super cool just to like be there with everyone. They had this cool like pin exchange thing where you could like, each country had their like special pins, and then you could go exchange them with other countries. So that kind of helped like someone like me who like definitely would not go up and start talking to somebody to do that. And yeah, it was just a really like fun environment. The actual like event itself was fun because like obviously the group, it was a very small group. There's only 9 of us competing for the women and 9 for the men. So it was, you know, we all knew each other. We've all been kind of doing this whole journey together. And especially on the women's side, going from like, there wasn't really much for us. And then the Olympics got announced, and there started to be more support for the women through like their federations, their countries. And so things really blew up. Like, the progression was insane for us over the past 3-4 years. And so I just like, this one moment that really sticks with me is we were, I don't know if it was on like qualifying day, but you know, everyone was definitely a bit tense. Like, obviously we're at the Olympics. There's a little bit of tension because we're all there for like our specific countries. And so we're all kind of sticking with our teams and stuff, which is a little bit different for BMX because usually we're just all together no matter where we're from. And then it was like very quiet on the deck. We're getting ready to like get called out. And one of the girls just kind of brought up like, wow, like we did this together. Like we got each other here. You know, from the days when there was 3 of us competing at a World Cup to now. And yeah, everyone just like relaxed. Everyone was like hugging each other and like, just kind of like that feeling of like, we did this and we did it together. So even though we were there like competing against each other, we all kind of just realized like what was happening. And that was like a really cool moment.
Wow. Sounds like an Olympic spirit.
Yeah, I love it. I'm like, so, I was like in the moment with you for a second. I forgot we were even doing an interview. I'm like, oh yeah. I would love for you to share actually some of those, like mindset tricks that have helped you, even helped you, you know, compete the way you have. I know that you know, what you do is definitely, you know, it's not something to take for granted, right? It's I don't like saying anything like high risk sport, but it's like, you know, it's one of the more extreme sports. And so you have that kind of to deal with. And then also even just like leaving your house kind of stuff to deal with. What kind of mindset stuff do you feel like has really helped you that you feel like maybe some of our listeners can put in their back pocket for if they need them?
Yeah. Okay, I'll start with like, just like the daily life stuff. Some things like recently that I've been doing is, in general, at the end of each day, writing down like 3 things that I'm grateful for. And then especially on like bad days, writing down 3 things that went well or 3 things that I was proud of, even if that's just like, I'm proud that I left the house today. Like just making sure to write those down. And then also just journaling too, which those are kind of like, you know, some people don't like to write a lot. So maybe that would be for them to just like write those 3 things. Other people might prefer to like actually write out the entire day. But I found that all of that, and especially like actually writing it, not just like typing it or something, is really helpful and kind of calming. For like at competitions and stuff, I get really, really nervous before every single competition. It doesn't matter how small or how big it is. And so some things that I'll do before competitions is just put my headphones in. So I just block out everything that's going on around me. Breathing exercises just to kind of like come back to the moment and stop stressing about just the million things that my mind is thinking about. And then obviously just like visualization, going over my runs and just, kind of bringing myself back when everything's like kind of going crazy around me.
Are those the kind of things you did at the Olympics? Because I'd love our listeners to kind of understand your sport. It's one of the sports where you could be the best, but, you know, something happens and you're not on the podium. It's not like running or swimming. And I find it so amazing when athletes like yourself actually are clutch and they perform on the day at such big stress events like you did, you know, so much pressure. We've heard so many athletes talk about that. The Olympics is such a weird thing that way. But yeah, did you like have any moments at the Olympics where things felt too much, or were you pretty solid with just using these tools that you just talked about and it all worked out?
I mean, I definitely used all of those during the Olympics. There was a couple times, we had a lot of practice days, and there was a couple times during practice when I kind of just broke down and had to like go down. Like we were kind of up on a higher level. So just like go down and just like reset. And that's something like that my coach helps me with as well. Is just like, he'll kind of notice if I'm starting to get like too anxious about everything that's going on and stuff. And so he just like makes me take a walk, basically. Like leave the situation, go take a walk, reset, come back fresh. And yeah, I think actually on finals day, I was like the least nervous. I'm usually more nervous on qualifying day. I think just because it's like the first like time that we're taking everything that we've been working on in practice and like seeing if it works. But yeah, I think usually once I'm like up on the deck, pretty much like staged to drop in, my heart rate's usually like 160. Just standing there, and at that moment, the only thing I can do is just like keep breathing, like reminding myself to breathe, and then also just like thinking about like having fun, because that's at the end of the day, that's what I'm there to do. And sometimes it's like easy to forget that when you know you're at a huge event or you're just kind of in training mode and stuff. So just, reminding myself, like, I'm out here with all my friends, getting to do what I love. And that kind of usually helps me relax a lot more. And obviously when I'm relaxed, then I ride better. So, yeah.
I love it. It's so cool to hear how well that's worked for you. And like Rowie said, just that you can be in those moments and be present and not, you know, worry so much about everything else that's going on, which is exactly why you did what you did. So bring us to the award. Okay, now bring us to the award ceremony. Tell us what it was like to stand on that podium and hear your national anthem and, you know, all the feelings.
It was very warm. We were like waiting in this tent beforehand for like probably 30 minutes and just like drenched in sweat because we had to wear like the track suits. So it was, I just remember being so hot, and then we walked out there, and I think once we like got up on the stage, and then like they raised the flags, and even like they played, obviously it's just the British national anthem, but even just like hearing that, like definitely started to get all emotional. Like I think it started to hit a little bit, and then we had that like one moment of peace and quiet, and then just like chaos. Like they just like whisked us away to do media, and like it was like nonstop. And we actually flew out at 4 a.m. the next morning. So we spent the whole rest of that day doing like interview after interview, and then just went back to pack. So there wasn't like a lot of time to process it.
Wow.
And then when we landed in Zurich, there was like this whole like welcome party waiting and like press thing. So it was pretty insane.
So fun. Okay, show us the medal. I know you got it somewhere. in your pocket, right?
It's always in my pocket. No, it's actually very heavy.
Yeah, look at
See
that.
if I can-
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, listeners, take some of those details and add some of those details into your visualizations. They were great. Yeah, so good. Also, I'd love you to talk a little bit about what it feels like, or what it's like to be on the Red Bull team. You know, I have kids in extreme sports, and literally every single one of them's like, yeah, I want to be on the Red Bull team one day. So I would love them to hear, like, what does it mean? What's it like? You know, what kind of support do you get? Yeah, talk us through that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Same with me. Like it was always the dream. I had like a little sticky note on my lamp for years that was just said like Red Bull. Like that's what I wanted. And there wasn't any freestyle girls on Red Bull yet until like 2020. So I had like started talking with them in Switzerland a little bit like years ago. And you know, the women's side was still pretty small. We didn't have a lot of events and stuff, but I just kind of stayed in contact. And then the first girl from Germany got on in 2020. And then shortly after, these two twins in Colombia got on. And then I was the fourth girl I got on in last January. But yeah, it's unreal. Like just to walk past the mirror and like see the hat and be like, oh crap, like I'm wearing a Red Bull hat. And the level of support is really cool. Like I actually just got back from LA, which was the first time I'd gone to like the headquarters and stuff, just with COVID and everything. And so I got to do like testing with them in the gym. And then we actually had an event with other Red Bull athletes that was like partnered with my platform Mind Tricks. And we kind of just got together and talked about mental health as like a group of athletes, which was really incredible. But yeah, it's like everything that I imagined and so much more. Like I feel like anything that you would need as an athlete to be better, they'll try to make happen. You know, everything from nutritionists, trainers, psychologists, everything on like the performance side, but then also projects and everything. Like it's definitely it's unreal.
Oh, so good. I love that they're supporting you with your mind tricks. Yeah,
so
seriously.
So cool. Yeah, actually talk about that. You mentioned your platform Mind Tricks. Tell the listeners about that.
Yeah, so I started it because I was posting some things on my own Instagram just to kind of be more transparent. Like, you know, I always post the podium shots and everything, and I wanted to show like what was going on behind the scenes, like the bad days and the times when I thought like I wasn't going to be able to keep going. And my friend came to me and said, like, why don't we make something where other athletes can share as well and kind of just encourage them to talk about it. So we created the page. For now, that's all it is just the page, and kind of just collecting different stories from different athletes to show, if they're like professional athletes, to show their fans like that even these like high profile athletes that seem to have everything going for them deal with the same stuff. And then also just to encourage everyone to be more open, sharing about it, talking about it, asking for help. And then, yeah, like this past weekend, we were able to do the event with Red Bull, which was so incredible. Just getting like this group of top athletes together, and just like all of us kind of realized like how much we have in common, like how much of the same stuff we go through. So that was like really special, and hopefully like this was like on a smaller scale, and I think hopefully in the future we can do more events with Mind Tricks that are like open to more people, and like get kids on bikes and kind of tie the two things together. So kind of opened up some doors, and we'll kind of see where it goes from there.
I love this vision, this turning your pain into purpose and helping others, giving back. That's we're finding that a lot in the champions we listen to, which leads me to actually that question: what does a champion, like that word, or to be a champion, what does that mean to you?
I think it means just to keep going, like through everything, but also to know when you need to rest and when you need to ask for help, because none of us can do it alone. So just like kind of the cliche thing of like, keep getting back up no matter how many times you get knocked down, but also like understand that it's okay when you need to ask for outside help.
I love it. Is that kind of similar along the lines of like what you would say to your 10-year-old self? Like if you had to go back and talk to yourself as a 10-year-old?
Yeah, I think I would probably just tell myself that like it's just a moment. Like what I'm going through is just a moment, and it's not going to stay the same. It's not going to stay that way forever. So just keep pushing through, and it'll, there's always going to be ups and downs, but it will get better.
Yeah, love it. Is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners that would be of value that we haven't talked about? I feel like you've got this like wealth of wisdom in your young soul. We actually had a little BMXer from Utah. Her name's Kier, and she sent me a bunch of questions that she wanted me to ask you, and you literally answered all of them without me asking them. So thank you.
She's awesome.
Our young ones are gonna get. Yeah, you know her, right? Yeah, she's amazing. Well, gosh, thank you so much. You're a true inspiration. This journey of overcoming, of vulnerability, it's like you've got this humility, but this confidence that's grown through your journey. And I am so honored. Seriously. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you. I'm super happy I could come on.
Can you tell the listeners where they can find you, and kind of talk maybe just real quick about like what you're working towards now?
Yeah. Probably the best place is Instagram. It's my name, Nikita.Ducaro. And yeah, I think right now I'm kind of just working towards like getting back in the routine after Tokyo, and then preparing for like 2022 and all the World Cups and stuff. So I'm excited, just the level of progression that women's BMX has taken. It's a little scary, but also just very exciting to see like where we've been able to push it, and just kind of what's to come.
Well, how cool to be a pioneer really in your sport, and to see and to be part of that progression. That's so cool. I'm sure you're in posters all over so many people's rooms already. So that's really exciting.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us share your story. I feel I've loved watching you, and now it's even more meaningful knowing the person behind this. So
thank you.
We're happy to share you, and yeah, we'll be cheering.
Thank you.